Welcome everyone to the second edition already of our Disruptive Fridays. My name is Lieke Ploeger and I'm the Community Director of the Disruption Network Lab, and I'm going to be moderating today's session. And before we're starting, I want to also say a big thanks to Ranav Adhikari and Boiling Head Media, because thanks to them, we're now having a different live stream software, so we're not on Zoom anymore. And
100% Zoom free.
Zoom free. It seems to be working fine so far, but bear with us because it's the first beta testing we're doing today. So hopefully it keeps running smooth. And our speakers today will be Michael Eng, and he's an artist and engineer. And he's originally from Canada, but based in Berlin. And also used to run the Made by Us maker community in the past at the Spectrum Art Space in Berlin. And as you can see, he's joining us from his studio, so also be able to show some great stuff from there. And our other speaker is Andreas Kopp, who's a creative technologist, a maker, post-it artist, and teacher, which I think is a great summary of things already. And he's also the founder of the Erfindergarten, which is a Fab Lab and DIY community space in Munich. And he's based also there. Before we go into the topic, I also want to say thanks a lot to Elena Veljanovska and Jonas Franke, who've been working on the production for today, and also to make sure that we have some great visuals and background information later on in the call. And of course, also welcome to everybody joining us again today. And similar to last week, we also have a chat on our page where you can post your questions or also links or ideas or anything that you want to share. And our team will be also there to collect these questions, and then we can have them in the discussion at the end with the speakers as well. First we will do the presentation by Michael and Andreas, and then also a conversation between us. Last week when we started the Disruptive Fridays series, we discussed with some art and culture producers and also people running art spaces about how they come up with creative solutions to handle the isolation and the situation we're in now due to the pandemic. And this week we want to focus on critical making in times of Corona, to discuss with these artists and makers how actually in the current pandemic their work has become increasingly relevant, which is also very interesting to think about because I think you're both very busy since everything happened. So we will hear more about how you can use digital fabrication techniques such as 3D printing and laser cutting, and also why, especially now, these kind of open source technologies and also maker communities are especially relevant. And a bit of background also on how this all got together. So interestingly, I thought it was quite amazing to see that the German government, together with some other organizations, they managed quite quickly to organize this online hackathon called Vir versus Virus at 40,000 participants.
The government didn't organize it.
That's true.
They're just quick to say, yes, we support it.
They put their logo on it, probably.
They didn't organize it.
There were like around 6 other organizations that probably got it really going. But I thought it was quite amazing to see also how many people joined.
I think it's 42,000. It's incredible.
Or something. So also you both joined, which also it's great, of course, to hear a bit more about. And since then you've been working on producing protective gear using maker machines. So let's hand over to you to kind of briefly introduce yourselves, and then curious to hear about all the work that's been going on the last weeks.
So I'm Michael Eng, artist and engineer based in Berlin. And together with Andreas, we joined up with that hackathon, and we were looking at what would really help, especially in the short term, in terms of protective gear. And so we were decided that a face shield was a really good thing that we could make because it's relatively simple, and we could actually make something which is, hopefully effective. So we very quickly, we're using a design from the Fab Lab in Brussels. Nicholas de Koster made the original design. And then we've been making adjustments so that we can actually streamline the workflow so that we can actually produce a lot of these different things.
Yeah, it's true. Like I just I wanted to take part in this hackathon, and then I saw a post of Michael that he wanted to test out, a shield, and said, okay, let's form a team together, and because I have a laser cutter here, so and or 3D printer, so laser cutter is here. Here's a laser cutter, and so we that weekend we tried out different designs. Um, and I think this is the same process that every maker in the world went through after. I think we were the first ones, probably, that really like tried laser cutting, 3D printing, went out to the hospital testing. I was already on the Monday, Tuesday already in the hospitals testing the designs. Nicholas was very early because they already got on Friday. So the hackathon was Saturday, Sunday. They already got on Friday the call from the hospital. We need thousands of those shields, and then on Thursday the post of Prusa Research was out and proposing their design, and so it was a funny coincidence that everything happened before that weekend, and then in the weekend everybody was already designing and making their own shields, and the following week they were testing, but this process I think happens all over. I'm seeing there's millions of designs out there, millions and millions of designs. It's quite funny, and like now I'm hearing from people like they don't know anything about the maker world. They started later, but they're also now having the injection molding going. In 2 weeks, they will mass producing. Apple is last week or no, this week. Apple also got on it. Everybody is now making these shields, and it's funny that the makers were the first ones to really do it, and I think the biggest community was maybe in Spain because they had the biggest need. They already I think they made already 400,000 of those things, really before anybody else. I think even before Prusa they already had they were doing shields. In really big quantities, and now we don't call them protective. In Germany there's quite legal things, so we just call them shields, but we don't use the word protective because we cannot ensure that they actually provide the protection. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, and in case you haven't seen it, I mean, this is what it looks like. The idea of the face shield is that there's basically a plastic sheet in front of your face that blocks your breath coming out, and is in a hospital situation to be against really like splashes or really like heavy liquids. Sometimes there's also covering on the top, but there's a bunch of different designs. And what was really cool was that because we have access to our 3D printers and laser cutters, we could actually produce these things in our studio from the designs that we downloaded from Brussels and from the Czech Republic, the Prusa design, other designs from Sweden, all over the world. And it's super cool to see all the different designs that people were jamming on. Each of them have kind of different design aesthetic, different material requirements. Basically, it was neat because you could take these open source designs and then actually adapt them. So that was one reason why we were using the design that came out of Brussels, because the source code for it was actually available. So we were able to tweak it, and we made a enhancement so that you could just take a PVC report cover, 4-hole punch, just chunk, and then you've got the holes to mount to the 3D piece. So we've been able to make, I mean, what are you up to now down in Munich? Is it like I think 1,500 or 2,000 shields that you've made, Andreas?
We made already like 3,500
Wow.
of those.
Wow.
We made more. I'm only like, we made like 5,000, but the problem is that people are obviously making them, and then maybe they are not as good quality. So we now put a I couldn't process them all, so we this week we met in 2 shifts, like 12 people or 6 checking them, if they are fine. You have sometimes you have little knobs here. they took them away. Also with a lighter or a heat gun, if there's some strings, this sometimes happens if you print not with the correct settings. There's like strings. So this we got rid of, and then we vacuum sealed them all in like bags like this, and and next step. This is not required here in Germany, I heard, but we could also like dump them all in a disinfection solution and also disinfect them. We all wore gloves in this situation, and we could make it more safe. But I'm also writing. I wrote now all like manuals. So I also wrote on the manual, it's not disinfected. So and it could be contaminated by us. So it could be that somebody had corona and touched it, to make sure that not anybody is. So they're really taking this by precaution, and if they're really afraid or so, if somebody uses it in the hospital, they first put it somewhere and disinfect it first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are some of the questions that also the maker community internationally has also been working on too. These questions about how do you create 3D prints that are able to be disinfected, or coming up with solutions to build a machine which can sterilize it potentially with ultraviolet. So this is another interesting thing about how do you actually create these things that can go out and actually be used by people either in hospitals or senior homes or other dentist office, these kinds of things.
Yeah, and what I realized, it's not the difficult thing, it's not the production. The production is actually now we are able to make in Munich alone in one day 1,500 easily. There are 80 people printing, and if one printer prints 60 of those, 30 of those or more. Okay, see this here. These are 30 here. And so it's actually easy to produce, but then the problem is to really package them, count them, quality check them, and also obviously the most difficult part is the distribution. Who really wants so many? Like the biggest hospital here in Munich, we supplied them on Thursday with 1,100, and this is the biggest hospital in Munich. They have 5 clinics. I know maybe 10,000, 12,000 people work there. So this is the thing what we are trying to find out. You could obviously give the Red Cross of the whole Bavaria, but I haven't figured out who is responsible to and we could not give so many. It's like I'm happy that this is one hospital in Munich. Then just some guy came that will give it to the refugee refugee Kaserne. There's a Bayern Kaserne here, and they have refugees there. They give it to them, but it's always like 200. We gave 500 to Caritas for their 2 food trucks, because also like the homeless people that normally would collect. I have to look in the camera here. So homeless people they cannot collect their bottles. There's no enough bottles for all of them. They go to every garbage can normally, and like if you work somewhere, sometimes I was working before that doing a shop window, and you saw the people. Like how many people go really and look at the same trash can. If you stand there an hour, you will see 5 people. And now there are not so many bottles anymore, so they really they cannot earn money, so they need more help with from the Caritas, for example.
But it's been pretty amazing to see the whole worldwide community of makers and everything going through this whole process of design, testing it with the hospitals, setting up the production, logistics. I think, down in Munich, also here in Berlin, they have a whole logistics and production that's been set up where they have people just biking around, picking them up and delivering them. So it's been really fantastic also seeing how quickly people could respond and actually contribute something.
Yeah, in Berlin I see all the different vibes. Like everybody's different. In Munich we give it for free, and then we hope for donations. I need to put the donations thing a little bigger because you haven't got donations yet. In Berlin, they're right away. They're more like not so. Here, the people in this group, there's 280 people in this Slack group, and 80 people have printers. And I think most of them, they work with big corporations, and they tell me, I'm getting the filament from my company and stuff like this, And in Berlin, they're like, I don't know, we need to charge like at least the amount of material we do. So it makes it obviously more difficult to handle the process if you need to send everybody their invoices and stuff like this, I think for this there will be enough donations coming in. You can run easily later on a campaign and say, hey, we are short 2,000 euros for the materials. Can you help us out? And I see in Berlin that they're not making the numbers because they're overcomplicating themselves the lives. They're also making the Prusa design.
Right.
But there's more groups of some other guy from Berlin called me already, and they're setting different. There's not one hub anymore. There's more people doing it now.
Andreas, could you maybe explain to people a bit about the Prusa design versus the A4 thing you were using? So I thought that's quite interesting. Because maybe most people know.
So this is the shield of the Prusa, and if I have.
Yeah, I've got the headband here.
You have the headband. So normally you have the headband, but normally the design bases on a really thick sheet of PT, and the problem was that this sheet is only produced. I don't know. I have not found these. So some guys already got these as well, but normally Prusa use these, and it's only made by Bayer, and it's completely sold out. Because everybody was buying. Yeah. And
basically. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, just at a higher level, Prusa was one of the first designs that came out, which actually was reviewed by the Czech Health Ministry. And to give you some background, Prusa is a very popular printer maker. So they literally have like 1,000 printers sitting in their print farm just waiting to print stuff. And so the Prusa design is really nice. The thing is, though, that this headband, even with your reasonable print settings, is like 2 hours to print, and it's quite a bit of material. The same thing with the plastic piece. It's like a little bit bigger than A4, so it's hard to find, and it's, again, thicker. And then the design that we've been using, by contrast, if you look at the headband here, I mean, this is like 7 grams of filament, and this one's about 40. So, I can print 25 of this headband, no problem, and just give them away because they're so cheap. The problem with the Prusa is that it's a bit, it's more material, and so then it's like it does actually cost a couple of euros to make one, and so it's a bit harder as an individual to just make them and give them away. Yeah. So it's a different approach. Do you want like the high end, or do you want the kind of just the fast, hopefully good enough, but we can make lots of them and give them away.
Yeah. And the thing is also, but we made the test in the hospitals, and they said, man, the light design is good enough. The bigger design we don't need. So we said, okay, if they don't need this big thing, and it's easier to make for us, so why don't we make the easier design? Also, one big discussion is always, this thing is 240 by 240. Is actually smaller than a normal A4. The A4 sheet this is our A4 sheet. We just also round up the corner, and you see the A4 sheet is actually it's bigger than a 240. A4 is 270, 297, and 210. It has more. It's actually bigger. It's only the and also the advantage is because these holes here. Everybody at home can make it easily with a punch, with the guide, So I'm still getting always people asking me, how can we punch this Prusa thing? And it caused so much confusion. In America, Prusa put a design out with 3 pins. So you can use in America, you do this 3-punch thing. They learned already out of this first mistake with this stupid holes. And so like 1 week after that, in Germany, everybody was discussing DIN norms. And I had to explain to people, look, there's a couple of things, there's this 888. Nobody knew what 888 was, So I had to explain, okay, 888. So that's because I put here, what can I see? No, wait, there. You see on the top of the manual, there's like the holes, and you see there's 88 in the middle and 285 on the sides. This is total 297. And if in the middle, if you punch and the difference of each punch is always 80 millimeters. Hopefully nobody is in America and counts in inches. You should finally change that. And also Canada that has inches and centimeters is completely confusing. Guys, you should really change that.
We've learned more about the hole punching spacing than I ever thought I would ever learn. It's been a few hours figuring this out. Yeah. But again, with our design, the nice thing is you basically take this plastic sheet, which you can order in packs of 100 for like €7. You put it in the hole puncher and a chunk, and you've got your 4 holes. So in contrast with some designs where you need a laser cutter, it's pretty easy. And then most people they probably don't have this 4-hole punch, but you can punch it twice with a 2-hole punch. So it's these little things where it really helps to scale it up. Where also maybe you don't even do the punching yourself. You just get the hospital to order the sheets, and if they need to replace the sheets, they can create it themselves. But one of the really cool things about the open source designs has just been that you actually can quickly adapt the design to what you have locally or what makes sense locally. If you have a laser cutter and you've got all this plastic sheet sitting around, it makes sense to go that way. For us, the hole punching seems to work better.
Once you go big scale production, so the makers in this world were only the filling in as a need. Once these guys with the injection molding machine, Apple making 200,000 a day, they having the equipment to punch every hole they want. There it doesn't matter at all. But for us, it matters. So this was just so now I give it 2 weeks. And and Apple is making 2 million a day. They will just laser cut or with any machine just make 50 at the same time. Packet. They have all the equipment. They have the distribution. They have the packaging. They have the everything. So it's just we are filling in a small need, and now we are looking for other things we can do. One thing I find very nice, interesting. Is this thing. This you can put here in the back of you, and then it's for a mask. So when you're wearing a mask the whole day, it relieves the stress on your ears, and it puts it on your neck. This is also very easily printable, and I think this is something that you really can make somebody happy, and it's even less material than the bands, and it's even easier to make. I like this the most at the moment. It's so easy. You could easily put here, your logo in there if you like, or like stay healthy. You could make some nice message in there. You could write somebody's name in there easily. So everybody, this is mine here. This is something I think I like. This is, I think, the easiest. I like this at the moment. And then the next thing is this thing here we're trying to do. So here we got 400 meters of this. Actually, this material, it's feldspin microfiber. You need like a €4 million machine to make these kind of roll. This is like everybody wants this material at the moment. All the Chinese. Oh, sorry, yeah, I put my thing on silent, but it doesn't work. Everybody wants this material. You can make like 2,000 masks or more out of this thing here. And we're trying to cut it this way and fold it, that it has also like these small little things, and then just put it here and then you can have a mask, because we don't know if there will be masks for everybody. If there's if there could be a mask mandatory thing coming on, and then there will be not a mask. Also we could make a mask that is reusable. So now what I'm thinking of, maybe we could make a box. We have these collections points where everybody brings the prints. This is, for example, this is mine. Somebody put they sent it to me, and they put a picture of those two boxes. It's downstairs my apartment, and people are sending me. So we could put potentially a box in each like collection point, where we could disinfect things like bands. We have to test it. Does UV light work? Is this the right light? There's some. If you buy it from China, you need to check, is this really the right pulp they're giving you? These kind of things are happening.
Yeah, but it's worth saying, like, we feel like we've been sort of filling this gap for the face shields, but it's pretty clear that as the global supply chains are being disrupted, there's going to be a lot more of these little gaps and these little things that just make life a little bit easier in this like weird time that we're in. I think it's also like a nice gesture when you can make something that's been designed as a community and then give it back out to people, just to try to make life either a little safer or just like a little more comfortable, And I think the ability to do all this sort of design massively in parallel, remix, pick the best parts of different designs and smash them together. I mean, we're seeing that now, especially when it's harder to get stuff from abroad, when there's like the large scale production has been kind of curtailed, at least for the moment. It's great to have this local manufacturing and design ability.
Yeah, and it's also amazing to see how fast the feedback process is happening, that you get direct feedback and you can improve and adapt so quickly to the situation. That's really amazing as well.
And it's so great because I was just saying that I met so many people that I would never. I have this lab here. I have been trying to get together people here, but this was good because now I got to know all these, normal. There's like hobbyist maker. They all have their jobs, and so they have their 3D printer in their apartments, in their basements. And they were not connected to any lab before, no fab lab, no open maker space, and they were just because it's so easy to now to get a 3D printer, and this was a nice way to connect all these people and say, hey, you can probably before they were completely producing useless things. I can see they were like printing things like robot like for their for the children, some completely useless stuff on Thingiverse they were printing. Now finally I can make something useful with my printer. Yes, let me make it. And this is I think this was really good. So there were people that got their printer 2 weeks ago, and I had to explain them everything, how you do that. One guy I gave a printer. I was scheduled to make a workshop with them, and it got cancelled because of Corona. And then I had on the fly to help this guy and how to set it up. And so at least many people got to know 3D printing now. And we are, with this money we're getting, if there's something left after all the filament and stuff, we are making a maker party in Munich. Also, Michael, I hope you're coming down. Everybody in Berlin coming down. And
I'd love to.
Yeah, if we can.
Everybody
Maker Party 2025.
Getting everybody in person together and have a beer and you meet. This I think is great for the community. And then the next crisis, we have such a strong connection already. Now we have 2 channels now. One for the 3D printing of the shields. Now the second channel is for sewing. Now that's the channel where people are discussing about how we do the masks now, so they're collaborating designs, like how, if there's a need, what design, what are the next steps. I think it's really cool, and I think what is most important, the mistake a little bit was this is also I'm part of the Maker versus Virus, so there are like hubs everywhere in Germany now. But in the beginning was the problem that everybody in every hub, in every area of Germany wants to do it different. I think in the end it will anyway be a very local thing. So people will meet locally, will find their way locally, and it's I was sometimes not really helping the cause to like trying to discuss things on the like a Germany-wide, like what designed for whole Germany, and I think this was not necessary. I think it was a local thing to help in a certain time, and then other people will do it after us. But this was my learning. It better be local. Don't discuss with too many people, because every doctor in every city, in every hospital, and it's also biased. If you're preferring this design, you can present it this way to the doctor that he likes less more, and this is completely biased. You would need to have like a market study with like representative crowd of people giving them designs and testing. Nobody did that. And Prusa, he made it very smart. He just went to the health minister and made a picture with him. That's all he did. He didn't really post any pictures of like hospitals where he tested this. Afterward, he changed the text and said, now we are making field tests in the hospitals. So they designed the thing in 3 days. There weren't any like tests, longer tests, like put it all, and then the people said, oh yeah, it's good. They didn't give them any different designs, They made it 3 days. Picture with the health minister. If this would be the same if I would travel to Berlin with my design and go with to Spain and he would say, yes, this is the design, like this. Obviously, everybody would do this design if this guy would, or if I would go to the Robert Koch Institute, this guy always talking, and he would say, yes, this is the Robert Koch Institute validated design.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, they made a design which actually made sense for them, and to be fair to Prusa, I think they've actually donated like I think 100,000 of them now or something. So not knocking them. It's just that's one of the things I think is really cool though, is being able to actually take the best parts from different designs and combine them for what makes sense to your local context, and then because we can see like someone like Andreas can make such a big difference that. Even with a couple people jamming on the design and then setting up this production and everything, you actually can make a difference in your local community, which I think is probably the most important thing out of the kind of maker scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think also this effect Andreas was talking about managing to get so many people now together to help out also at your space, and where these photos you shared of the production process, which were quite impressive. And like you mentioned, the Slack with 280 people, and that's really a big effect that can also last beyond just this time, of course. But maybe I wanted to ask you before we go on to the public with some more questions, because we're already going a bit over time now, because there's of course a lot to talk about. But I was wondering if you could discuss or share a bit more about how you actually managed to get so many people together to help, like all these volunteers helping with the printing and the production and the distribution, because it seems like a lot of people got together quite fast for this.
Yeah. So it first started all in this global group, open source COVID medical supplies. So I think the whole maker world and everybody else was in this group. Also Prusa was in this group, and then people were talking about. People were talking about what can we do. Thinking about masks with like filters, and then it was clear, the filter is very difficult. Can we make the felt spinning thing? No, it's also very difficult. One guy did it, Prakash with the fold scope did it. And then Prusa came over this side, and then what happened is more Facebook groups were founded, like more regional groups. There was one like Germany 3D printing group, then I founded a Bavaria group, and then in Kassel, an open workshop. I was also there. They're also connected with the Open Workshop Network in Germany. They were lucky because they already got on Thursday a demand from the hospital, make shields. And so they were really early in the thing. So while Michael and me were making the testing, they set up a website called Maker versus Virus. modeling the Spanish. Spanish had the virus makers already had a website like this because, in these Facebook groups, you cannot really point from outside because somebody may don't have Facebook. So and then this business website and the Slack channel, people from outside could point in. And so obviously there were YouTubers. I didn't know this guy before called Phil. Seems to be a YouTuber of 3D printing. And then all these, and also the girl from Octoprint shared this, and then more and more people on Twitter and everywhere, because many people another fan there, so like Twitter, and they're pointing on the Maker vs. Virus website, and over that, then people that joined all the. I asked them when we met. I met these people. How I saw on Twitter. So then over this funnel, over this website to the Slack channel, all these people came there. Okay, Munich. I want to help in Munich, and then I was already there trying to organize it, and like, okay, let's do it like this, guys. Make this design, and I still had to. Somebody always wants to do their own thing. They're making process, but man, they haven't delivered like more than 100. But obviously, always people want to do their own thing, and it's difficult for people to accept. Look, in Munich, we make it this way. Point. It's fast. Just one side. I have the context with the hospital now, and doesn't matter if it's what design. If it's any design, it's just a matter of doing it fast, and for this demand,
Yeah, and the Mang House has been for you in Berlin with the distribution and the printing, because you're now in the lab as well, of course.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's one of the things that's been really cool, is that because we're using 3D printing and laser cutting, we can quickly share the designs. So, for example, I was doing some improvements on the printing speed. So we made it so that made some improvements so it's easy to print a whole stack of them, and then you just break them apart. There was already some support for that, but basically we did a bunch of like dialing it in to make it super fast. So, that's the cool thing. You start with a design that's like good and fast, and then you say, okay, for our printers and for what we want to do, how do you make it faster? How do we get to where, maybe eventually you do like 100 of these things per printer per day? And then even just for me posting what I was working on, I've had friends who are also in Germany helping out with some more different ideas. I've had friends who are in California who are printing these things now. So it's really great they're able to like collaborate so quickly. And then because also we have these machines which can more or less do the same thing in different places, we're able to collaborate even when it is just like one person with your printer at home or with your lab. So it's the collaboration, I think, has been really cool, and also the ability to try all these different experiments in parallel. And then because it's open source, be able to like remix and pick the best parts and adapt it to what we need to do.
Yeah, it's really showing the power of open source and sharing technologies. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I think
but it is
let's open it. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's good. That's good.
Okay. And then I thought it's good to start to open up to our audience, which has been joining in the live chat. So maybe I can hand over to Elena, who's been collecting questions.
Hello, Lieke. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hello to everyone.
Hi.
So the group has been a bit active today, and I think I just selected the questions that you already haven't touched upon, I think. So if you don't mind, this is how we did it last time. I will just read the questions, and then you pick up the answers after I'm gone, if that's okay. Cool. So the first question is, what is the cost for the production of the masks and materials? And would it be a feasible project for places like Africa, Asia, or in general for poorer countries? A second question is there a potential in some near future to design something similar but using recyclable materials? Or if you're using recyclable, to just tell us how this goes with the materials? And then I think you touched upon this, but still this is like a concrete. Have you shared the design on Instructables? Or where can we find the open source design instructions to make them? But I believe we can share this anyhow. And one to you, Michael. Do you have a laser cutter, or did you do only the 3D printing part? And the last question, or I don't know, it sounded also like an offer. Do you guys need extra bike couriers to help with deliveries? So I think this is what I picked up for now.
That's
And
a
I will
great
just,
list.
Great. That's great.
yeah, I will just sign out for the moment and then we talk later.
So
Okay.
bike couriers, I wanted to say we made a Telegram group, Corona Express. Now I package it all in like small bags. Now it's much easier to tell people, oh, go here, go there, and people are already helping out and doing that. Yeah, there's a Telegram group, called Corona Express in Munich. I can share the link. I know how we share the links here. If you go to the www.makeaversaris.com, and then you can find the Munich Slack, and there you can ask, or they can find, there are like 280 people that can help you out, and if you go to and you can also then find the Berlin Slack there as well.
That's
This
right.
is,
Yeah.
that's one thing. And then with the recycled materials, yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to think that people not thinking about it. Obviously, this is PLA. It's not like really like it would be recyclable. So you could, if you chop a thumb in, but I don't know if the hospital really like will put it afterwards in like a recycle. They're probably afraid that they will contaminate everything, I think. But in other places, it would completely miss it out. The good thing is it's at least reusable, so you can use it a couple of times, and also these sheets you can also like use a couple of times and disinfect. There are already guys that are from the Kunststoffschmiede. They already did a design with injection molding, and they could obviously also do this then with recycled. They're really good. They're a really good precious plastic point in Germany. They could use then also recycled material. And the thing about Africa, yeah, they also have 3D printers there. You know, these things they can also afford. It's not like Africa is everywhere so poor. They have also universities. They have also maker spaces everywhere. So they're probably also doing that. And there's so many designs. In Mexico, so for example, I'm also very connected to the international Fab Lab network. They're doing 15,000 of those, just a laser cutter and having people assemble them. So the 3D printer is nice for this small gap, but then there's many other. I saw people like using just a hairband. There's hairbands. You know, everybody I think is equally creative. I'm completely opposing this, that we have to help Africa. There are so creative people there as well. They can, with their things, what they have, easily make something as well. I see people that are using a used water bottle. You know, they're cutting the water bottle and then they're having something here. There's a million possibilities. It's just a pen and a piece of plastic. So it's not like there's a million combinations how you can make it. I want to really say that not like it happens always with this like aid programs that like you mass produce something here and ship it then there somewhere where you think people will need it, because the problem is then you have to ask them. You know, it could be that they don't like it. It could be that they think their design is better. They could say that's because I think so. The Fab Lab I was talking about is Fab Lab in Puebla. It's in this is the website of in Puebla. They have made so many. Yeah. Have I forgot any question? No.
I mean, it's just saying that's the nice thing about making the designs open source, though, is that then also people, like we said, can adapt it to their local conditions. And also this thing with the 3D printing the face shields. I mean, hopefully this is a temporary step, because there's also issues that, you know, when you make something with 3D printing, it's actually not as energy efficient as doing it with injection molding, for example. So if you are going to be making millions of these things, 3D printing is probably not the solution. But if you need to fill the gap of in between when the mass production can start, and you want to do some experiments, it's very good. In terms of recycling, I think this is a bigger issue that we're going to need to figure out as we see that we're going to have more and more of these disposable, or not disposable, but single-use plastic items. I mean, this would be a really great thing for hospitals to figure out, would be, is there some way we could design these face shields or other protective gear where it can be recycled? And, maybe if it can be disinfected, once it reaches the end of life, you disinfect it and then recycle it into some other use. I think there was a question also about, do I have a laser cutter? Yeah, I actually do. I've got this like really hacky, the cheapest laser cutter you can get off eBay.
Right?
Actually, someone, it's this infamous, let me see if I can show you. It's this infamous K40 blue laser cutter, which I basically upgraded with a bunch of 3D printed parts. And I've actually got another laser cutter, which I haven't installed yet. But the thing is, on my laser cutter, I couldn't cut the full size of the Prusa shield. And so that's also why I was sort of really working on that design with the A4 sheet, because that was something that I could get pretty easily. So again, another example of, especially when in the situation where it's hard to get stuff shipped, not everything's going across the borders, lead times and stuff is getting longer. It's kind of a fun problem when you're just like, okay, we need to make these things. How do we make it with what we have now or what we can get locally? And I think it's a very good mindset also just to add kind of resilience to the global supply chain. If there is local manufacturing capability, all the way from, big companies being able to quickly retool, all the way down to just, hey, a couple people collaborating on the internet being able to make something which makes a difference in the local community, like soon, as fast as we need it.
And I think there was a final question about how people can find the design, or where you shared it, so that others can also see it and use it themselves.
Yeah, we'll post it. I think this is like on the probably chat in the live stream. We'll post it there. If you search for Brussels or Brussels face shield, you should find it. We've got it on Thingiverse as well as on GitHub. And so there's the original. Yeah, so there's the original source code from Fab Lab in Brussels.
Yeah.
And we've published, basically we've got everything up there that you can need to either make your own or even modify the design.
Yeah, I think the link also to the Thingiverse is in our event as well from this Disruptive Friday as a first to find.
Yeah, it's not the best instructable yet. We have not had time for that. Here was focus was first to make it ourselves and make it local. We have not put so much time into this instructable perfect video and stuff like this. This you can do if you have time.
Yeah, or Prusa already does those tutorials, so they have all the nice setup with they probably have the camera operator and everything.
We are only 280, but they're not as organized and they're not getting paid. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, all things considered, I think it's pretty impressive how many we got out there. And there was a question also about the cost. I think, I noticed, I think in the Berlin hub, they were saying that they estimate for the Prusa shield material cost around €3, and so I think they're asking for So and then with ours, Andreas, how much would you say the material costs for ours are? Like for example,
one of those sheets. So first I got it for €11, 100, and now they are selling them for 17. So 17 cents. One of those, and then I would say the rubber band, I don't know, 1 cent, 18
we buy it by the kilogram now.
and then you're adding the 3D printing, maybe 10 cents, and then obviously you have to count in the electricity and the packaging and the delivery. I always tell the people we have to pick it up, so maybe we're at €1. €1 maybe. I'm saying if somebody says like the Spendenempfehlung, I'm saying €2.50. And this is a February, or €2, something like this. €2, €2.50. I'm saying to be, because that's, yesterday a guy came here. He was the driver of the Landrat. I don't know how you say this thing. It's like the local governor of a province. and he would be responsible for picking up all these supplies and bringing to the elderly homes. And they, for example, as they are a Behörde, they're public entity, they cannot donate. So they were asking how we do it, how we getting the like invoice. Yeah, okay, you can. I can send you the invoice. We are doing it over a non-profit that is not involved in the production, and they afterwards we can send them an invoice. Also, some of the community offered to, if somebody cannot donate, they would they can buy material, and then they would distribute the material to all the 80 people that are printing. And so this way is also so with two ways if somebody cannot donate.
Great. Were there any other questions? Or is that I think that was the last one, huh? We may have lost Lieke. She's looking a bit frozen.
I think she needs
we've been doing pretty well, though. 100% no Zoom. It's so far so good.
I think we lost Lieke. She, I don't know if it's even live now. So it's probably not, only us talking.
Yeah, hard to tell. Hard to tell.
A moment.
No, there again.
Okay, Lieke is probably off, but I'm back. I'm just waiting for the maybe.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, well, do you have any more final thoughts?
I think, because this is a bit of out of script, but I think maybe Lieke, if she joins in, she will give like the closing word, but it was planned at the end that I announce the next episode. So maybe I can do that in the meantime. It's a bit ad hoc now, but I think, we just continue like that. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear.
At least. Okay, so for next Friday, we are trying to, we will focus on care or from another perspective. So we will be having Valeria Graziano as our guest, as one of the persons behind the Pirate Care project. And with her, we will speak about self-organized initiatives of care in times of Corona in this series. So shortly about Pirate Care, it's a research project that is collecting and nourishing grassroots and international initiatives, but those that are taking risks by operating in the gray zones between different care knowledges, institutions, and the law. It is an open knowledge platform that is inviting everyone to participate and explore the mutual implications of care and technology. And they are also questioning the ideology of private property, works, and metrics. So the project started basically in 2019, but recently it gained big attention with the segment Flatten the Curve, Grow the Care, What Are We Learning from COVID-19? I find it also as an essential curriculum for thinking about the crisis now. So with Valeria, we will try to speak about the overall Pirate Care project, which is taking the notion of Pirate Care that she and her collaborators coined together, and how they see the potential of piracy as a political tool for care. But we will also try to focus on the actual crisis and the solidarity initiatives in Italy that are serving at the moment as also active caretakers and protectors of human rights since the outbreak of the crisis, and put an extra attention on the feminist perspective of care and how this crisis has already affected the basic right to health of women and vulnerable groups. So please join us next Friday for the third edition. And not having Lieke here, I guess I will just thank to both of you for having this amazing show and super informative. And maybe I would just like to ask you very spontaneously if you have like a last thought, last closing sentence, not to just finish this so abruptly. I'm pretty sure Lieke also had something prepared, but now it's very abrupt. So I leave it maybe to you if you want before we say goodbye to the audience.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
sure. I mean, I think he's done out. Yeah. I just want to say it's been really great to see the different maker communities around the world actually coming together to try to make some solutions to the problems that we're facing right now and try to serve the local communities. And I mean, if you're interested in helping out in the German efforts, there's the Maker versus Virus site. And then you can get connected with hubs all over Germany, Munich, Berlin, other cities. And it's also just been like a really nice experience being able to try to do something positive and contribute. And I think even just the things that are trying to help people, I think is also something that we need to see more of, because it's like, we're also crunched down now. We're all kind of a bit on the defensive. And I think the more that we can do these community-based efforts, as well as the kind of higher level things, I think the better we'll get through this whole thing,
No, yeah, what you say, yeah. And the good thing is here about that you have now like this logo, so I think this is really like helping people to get supporting a cause. It's the higher end thing is important for this branding stuff and this, and then the real things are happening locally. But both things are important. I just want to say one thing that when you have locally some people already doing stuff, ask them what have they done before. Get together with them, share your experience, and not everybody running and calling the same hospital. Now, if there's already like connection or communication going on, work with these people together, and then I think you can make
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's amazing. And this is also why we, even in this crisis time, decided to go on with this series, because apart from the dreadful consequences that this crisis has already and it will have on all of us, there are also some brilliant initiatives, and there are really very inspirational things and collaborations coming up. So yeah, it's good to see the issue from both sides. I would like to thank you now from the whole team of Disruption Network Lab. And just
thanks.
to tell to those who are viewing that we will document everything. It will be possible for seeing it again, and we will try to document the links for everyone who was interested to follow up on the project. So see you next Friday.
Great. Ciao. Bye.
Ciao.